Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode. Staff Sergeant Skeptic here. Today we're going to take a look at part 3 and find out if all that grinding through level 5 was worth it. You may have thought yourself nimble and quick on the trigger up until now, but you better top up those mags and loosen those frag pins, ladies and gentlemen, because we are going over the top. Alright, so we find ourselves back in Heroes and Generals, finally. Sorry about the delay, everyone. I did have a bit of a catastrophic system crash this week and had to reformat, but we are back up and running. So I do apologize, and we're going to take a quick look at part 3 here and find out again if all that grinding through level 5 and holding off on that temptation to pay real money was actually worth it. So stay tuned and let's dive right in. The first thing you may notice is that we do have a bit of a change of location here. If you thought the skirmish maps were a little bit too big before, well, bad news. These maps are even bigger, and you will be doing a lot of running if you find yourself without transportation. For the record, it did take me about 18 to 19 hours of straight-up grinding through those earlier skirmish maps in order to get myself enough XP to level up to, well, level 5. Along the way, I was able to pick up a couple of interesting accessories, including this 2.5 power scope you see attached to my M1 Garand. Although souping up the default weapon is not everybody's cup of tea, I do have a particular affinity for the M1 Garand as well, an iconic piece of history, and it certainly holds a place in my heart. So, hate if you must, but this gun did allow me to basically rank first or second on pretty much all of the maps and score around 20 to 25 plus kills, especially when you're able to use that distance advantage. That said, however, once I was able to get into the higher level maps that involve larger capture strategies, I found myself taken back to a place right between elementary school and high school where you used to be at the top of the totem pole and then you're jumped right back down to the bottom. And my ass got thoroughly schooled over and over again, as you're likely to see in this video. So the level 5 plus levels are not for the faint of heart, and they tend to take a little bit longer, so you want to commit yourself so you don't lose out on that XP if you happen to sink in 45 minutes and realize you're running out of time. And no matter how much I souped up my M1 Garand, I found it was never really a suitable match to a Panzer tank or something like an STG-44 at medium to close range. So again, I'm probably going to have to play a little bit longer in order to be able to afford to switch up my weapons, unless I'm able to find one on the battlefield, as you can see on our top screen. But it did bring me back to that feeling of gamer-class warfare that we mentioned in one of the previous videos. And what I'm talking about here, of course, is what happens when you have a freemium game that you're able to play a lot more successfully by investing real money. So what happens if, say, you have a group of people that can afford to do that and a group of people who can't? How is the game going to work out that kind of balancing so that it doesn't just throw everything on? Because I imagine if we were to take this to somewhat of a hypothetical extreme, we could imagine, say, if you were to pay, I don't know, 999 gold for, like, I don't know, a one-shot button that just wins the match. I mean, does that sound like something that would actually be plausible? Would a game developer be silly enough to perhaps introduce a system like that and not realizing it may completely destroy the game mechanic? So if someone were to just get frustrated enough and just like, you know what, I'm busting out the Visa, screw these guys. And that's sort of what it becomes. I mean, is that going to be something that's detrimental to the gaming community? I think it would be. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I would also like to give a quick shout out to those of you who chose to comment on my previous videos. I really appreciate that you took the time out of your day to engage in a conversation about a game that you really enjoy, and you definitely inspired me to take what was supposed to be a single video and turn it into this 3-part series and really just invest the time necessary to show you guys what might be in store if you wanted to sink in, you know, the 18 to 20 hours it might take for you to grind your way up through those 5 levels necessary to get into the more hardcore game. So again, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments about what you think about this so far in level 5 and see if it's something that'd be worth your time, or maybe you'd prefer to move on to something else. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to Corsair for the incredible equipment that's helped me to get my way up through these levels. Now, just as a quick disclosure, I don't have any sort of professional affiliation with Corsair. I just happen to really like their equipment. And what I'm using for today's game, and well, pretty much all my games to be honest, is the Corsair K65 and K95 RGB series of gaming equipment, and these things have helped me out quite a lot, specifically the mouse. The K65 has this little red button on the side with a crosshair that when you hold it, it'll drop the DPI on your mouse and slow everything down for you. So as you're tracking somebody, it gives you much more room on the mouse pad to lead those shots. And one of the other helpful features that it has is called angle snapping, which basically means if you move the mouse to the right or left, it draws a straight line to the left or the right, respectively, or up or down. So what you'll find is that as you're tracking in any one direction, you're not having your crosshairs move, in a direction you don't want them to, like up or down, which keeps everything nice and level. And with these two hardware additions, it's about as close as I'd want to come before I'd call it cheating. Given the expense of the equipment, I'd say it's a worthwhile upgrade if gamers are really looking to maybe have that little bit of an edge over the competition, especially in a game like this when a tenth of a second can be the difference between life and death, so to speak. The Cherry MX Reds on the K95 were kind of new to me, and I heard a lot of great things about them, and I'd been using just a Logitech wireless keyboard up until now, so seriously anything would be an upgrade for gaming, to be honest with you. But the best part about it is that you don't actually have to push the key all the way down for it to send the signal. So if you wanted to just do little strafe movements back and forth, it takes a very, very small amount of finger movement to do it, and the fine control is much appreciated. So Corsair, thank you very much for the excellent equipment. I'm very excited to see what it is that you come out with next. In getting back to the gameplay, one of the other things that you guys might notice that's a little bit different about some of these maps is the presence of aircraft. Having air support seems to do quite a lot to turn the tide of a battle, and these planes are a serious pain in the ass. The pilot character class does become available once you've leveled up enough, and then you probably just purchase your plane as you'd purchase any other vehicle in the game. And then once you're all equipped, you can basically just wreak havoc on the battlefield to your heart's content. To be honest, I'm not really sure I'm going to go that route, just because I kind of prefer the pure first-person shooter experience that you get from playing as infantry, plus you can spawn faster. Paratrooper might be a good option for down the road, so maybe stay tuned for an episode about that one. You're certainly going to have a lot more options once you get yourself up over level 5. Unfortunately, you are going to feel like a small fish in a very big pond. But I feel as if this might be kind of a new take on what we used to do with game demos, because I can't help but feel that this is something very similar to what we used to get with shareware, where you'd almost have a full episode of a game, and then when you buy the game, you just get 2 more episodes with maybe some extra features, like the Duke Nukem or Redneck Rampage kind of games back in the day. In Heroes and Generals, what we have is perhaps a group of, players that are just interested in trying the game out. So, you can play through some of the introductory levels, but it doesn't allow you to interfere with some of the more serious players who are investing real money in the outcome of these wars. And the way they seem to describe this is, say for example, you spend a bunch of your money to get a bunch of gold, and then you've got a bunch of mines laid down, and then some idiot decides to just shoot them all. This might create a lot of inadvertent hostility between the players and for the game itself. However, you may be having players come from other games where every time you respawn you just get all your equipment for free anyway, which is a very common game model, so it would be an easy mistake to make. But once you invested close to 20 hours into this game, you really understand the way it works and where those frustrations are coming from, and I guess that generates a bit of empathy once you're out on the battlefield with some of the more serious players. So I guess I find myself at a bit of a crossroads. Am I going to invest maybe $20 to $40 in grabbing some gold, maybe upgrading my weapons to be a little bit more competitive on the battlefield, or maybe do I just keep tinkering around with what I have until I perhaps lose interest? I'd certainly love to hear your thoughts on the issue. What do you guys think I should do? Should I invest more heavily in this game, or perhaps move on to something different? And on that note, if you have any other games that you'd like me to take a look at that are similar to this, maybe we could do a quick compare and contrast, let me know in the comments and we'll take a look. Some of you may be wondering what 18 to 20 hours in the initial part of the game will get you in terms of equipment for later. What I was able to get given that amount of time put into the game, I was able to get a fully souped up M1 Garand, including the scope, and by the end of getting this video filmed, I was able to get the M1911 pistol as well, so I should have that one out for another video in the future if this is something you guys want to keep seeing. And a lot of that money has unfortunately been eaten up maintaining the upgrades. As I mentioned before, The maintenance on the modifications is a huge pain in the ass, and I just wish the developers would let you upgrade once and for all, even if they have to make them more expensive. But to be honest, the upgrades really don't help you all that much. I mean, these weapons are semi-automatic, so if your clicking speed isn't exactly in line with the cyclic rate of the weapon, you're probably not going to be firing at maximum speed anyway. And besides, the additions that I added to this thing, I think took it from 200 rounds a minute to 248. Even using match-grade ammo, it takes about 3 hits to take down an enemy with pretty much anything other than a headshot, which fortunately they've included as a one-shot kill, which is pretty much expected in a game made in 2015. But the one thing that they didn't include, which maybe isn't as expected, but maybe we should start demanding, is being able to shoot someone in the foot to death. I mean, seriously, it's 2015. Is this still a mechanic we're going to continue with? Oh, I can't count the times where I've been hit just under cover because, my foot is sticking out from underneath a log or something like that, and if it takes enough hits, the rest of my body ceases to function. I mean, even if you were to lose the limb completely, I mean, they have bleed-out mechanics in games already, so they can't even use that excuse. Some might even claim that it would make the games far too gruesome, and I can kinda see where you're coming from, but for those of you who have played Soldier of Fortune back in the day, right on the box it bragged about how you could blow off specific body parts. And that franchise is 15 years old. Mind you, now that I think about it, the only reason that may come to mind so readily are several of the game images being permanently seared into my consciousness. That one time when I came around the corner and that enemy surprised me, and I ended up taking off half their head with an M60 machine gun, which, well, I guess was hand-portable in that game, and, well, that was pretty visceral, I gotta say, but I don't know, maybe it's just not worth the effort of coding. Besides, this game is online only, and I think more of those resources should probably be dedicated to things like hit detection, especially with tracking a moving target, than the kind of gory details. It probably wouldn't add as much to the game. But still, being shot in the foot to death, I hate that shit. But fortunately, this game does not make you pay for repairs to your boots. It makes me wonder, what if a game like, I don't know, let's say Doom 2, for example, were to be released in its complete entirety, but if you wanted to, get the paid version, that would let you get more than the pistol, for example. So basically, you would reach a point in the game where the pistol could simply just not get you any farther. And they'd have you run out of ammo, or something clever like that, where the enemies that you're facing are just too insurmountable given the equipment that you have. So you're sort of told, well, listen, if you want to play more of this, just get a better gun. You can buy them here, and that'll allow you access to these better levels. But, I don't know, maybe if that was taken to a hypothetical extreme, we would have, pay for the red keycard, pay for the yellow keycard. I don't know, maybe not a good way to go. But anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to tune into this particular episode of The Shredding Skeptic. And again, if you want to see more of these videos, just let me know, because there are a few other games I got to get to. I've got a few more experimental betas to get some footage of. So again, thanks again for tuning in to this episode. And come join the discussion over on Alloy 7's channel on the upcoming episode of Gamer Life, where we discuss game value per hour. Because remember, these are our games, and this is our story.